guys, I want to talk about oil additives, commonly referred to as snake oil, but I've spent thousands of dollars into this. It's just who I am. I love testing product, fuel additive, oil additive, that kind of scenario. I love testing tires, just who I am, how I am. But nevertheless, so there's a couple simple products that I want to recommend to everyone. It's called Reslone. I think it's called oil conditioner. It's a yellow cheap bottle. I actually grabbed those two products. They're in the back. Here, let me pull. They're in the back door. I grabbed them for you guys because I always kind of struggle to describe these. So they're fairly inexpensive compared to other products and the results you get. Well, what's up, Benny? So this is the Reslone stuff I'm talking about. Very, very inexpensive. It looks really cheap to me at first glance. If it wasn't for my best friend, I'd never really touch it. Anyways, fairly straightforward, nothing to it. Maximum performance engine treatment, conditioner, and cleaner. And then this Hot Shot stuff. This is what put them on the map. Right, this is their OG stuff. Benny, you be safe back there. So those are the two that I recommend to everyone. I'll differentiate when I would put one versus the other, but if you're going to clean your engine, I like the slow and steady method. I don't like the whole rushing, flushing, all that crud being flushed down, and just too much for those little oil galleys and alleys and everything. So yeah, I'm just a proponent of the slow and steady cleaning your engine. If your engine's absolutely that bad that you need a 911 kind of cleaner, sure, go for it. I really like Liquid Molly's flush, really solid stuff, strong stuff. But I'll use the two products I showed you before I use that stuff. I like the slow and steady. I like the product slowly eating away at all the burnt stuff, letting the oil carried away, versus the flush where it all just kind of comes down in 10 minutes. You idle your engine 10, 15 minutes, or even the last 500 miles. Those are too much for me. I like slow and steady. These products, you do your oil change, you put them in with your new oil, and you go to town. I kind of keep a rule of thumb for both of them. I like the 15 to 20% ratio. So try not to be any less than 15% of the oil capacity and no more than 20%. For the sake of simple math, if your engine holds 5 quarts of oil, don't put any more than just a whole quart of that fluid. My Escalade holds 7 quarts, right? I just put 1 quart, as you saw. That yellow bottle, just one of those. Begs to ask the question, why do you need to clean your engine if you keep up with the services, guys? Excuse me. Well, if over time, and I would say at least once a year, I advise everyone to kind of throw in, but once a year, just at least throw in one of those if you're one of the meticulous guys, right? No matter how much you slice and dice it, when that engine gets worked hard enough, oil gets cooked in. A small amount, but it gets cooked into the metals. So once in a while, you just got to freshen it up. It ain't rock science. This product, is super easy to use, and it just takes time. Typically I see results in about 100 miles on either product, but it kind of does its trick. I had a family member bought a Cummins, a 6.7 Cummins, and it was more of a backup truck for the original owner, so it sat around a lot. My family member was really excited the fact that it had low mileage and everything, but it turned out to be a bad thing because that truck just sat around way too much. So the oil rings just weren't doing that great. The original owner, when he would use it, because it was a cabin chassis, he would use it and then just put it away, right? So when my brother-in-law bought it, it burnt oil. It's not normal for the thing to burn, a quart every 5,000 miles on average. Oh, hold your horses. A quart every 5,000 miles is a lot. So I told him about this product. I'm like, dude, just throw in a quart or two every oil change. about 5-6 months, but he went to zero. Just slow and steady went to zero. I've had a couple vehicles that are kind of burning oil. And what I mean kind of, like on a slow rate, burning oil, and adding that Rizlone product just cleared it up. It's just, as long as it's not scored or too far gone, that stuff will do a miracle. Obviously, if you don't have any engine problems. If it's just a little bit, your oil rings are a little plugged up, a little on the crusty side, it'll definitely clean it up for you. And your engine overall, it'll clean it up for you. So, highly advised just across the board to use the Rizlone engine oil conditioner, right? Would I use it every oil change? Probably not. I'll tell you, get on top of changing your oil properly. But if you look inside the fill cap, your oil fill cap, and your oil is just burnt up in there, I'll definitely do about 2 to 3 back-to-back oil services, meaning oil changes with the Rizlone in there. Now, the Hawshaw Secret oil stagnation, if you do your research, it all came from the 6.0 and 7.3 guys. Basically what it is, hydraulic cylinders getting gunked up in there on bottom of the line. What am I trying to say? Bottom line, what the issue was, right? So they would get the cooked oil off of the metal, so you'd have better flow in that hydraulic injector, right? Because it's a Huey system. Same thing with hydraulic lifters. I highly advise everyone to throw that stuff in there. I'm using it in my Escalade. My Escalade is an 18 with the collapsible lifter, so it has 4-cylinder and 8 cylinders. Keeping your oil clean and excuse me, helping out with the hydraulic system, right? Definitely helps. It definitely helps. The system in itself is it has its shortfalls because the lifter could go sideways and there's nothing that can save you. But the bigger issue is the screen for the hydraulic system gets plugged up and the hydraulic system itself gets a little gunked up. So on that Escalade, I do about 4,000 mile intervals on the oil changes, and it does phenomenally. My Escalade always got wonderful fuel mileage. I always kept that engine in tip-top shape. My best friend owns a auto repair facility, and typically he's like, what takes out the GM engines with cam phasers is the screens are plugged up and the thing just goes kaput. So yeah, I would lean more towards anything with the hydraulic lift or hydraulic system. So 6.0, 7.3 internet, the Power Strokes, any engine that has hydraulic system in it, I would lean towards the Hawshaw Secret. But generally, all across the board, the Engine Restore product will do just fine. And the reason I would lean a little bit more towards the Hawshaw Secret for the hydraulic system, so let's say a 5.9 Cummins, there's no hydraulics in there, right? It's just a mechanical engine. Just put your Rizlone in there. But it won't hurt the Hawshaw Secret. The Hawshaw Secret has nanotechnology. Obviously, it's on a small scale, but it does the trick. So, general sense, the Hawshaw Secret is the better product. I would not shy anyone away from it. It's just something I live by. It just seems to work just fine for me to use the Rizlone across the board. truck got sold off to a farm about a month ago. You know, at 3:30ish, it got sold off to a farm. Phenomenal truck. Brother-in-law got out of the business that he had use for it and just moved on. Truck's healthy as a horse, and it ran good. You know, my 7.3 did just fine, but you know, it liked the cleaners, it liked the seafoam and the fuel, it liked the cleaner and the oil. The hydraulic system needs to stay in tip-top shape, like the power strokes. You know, if you start falling back, you start hearing it, feeling it on cold starts, but not the GM. Guys, why am I talking about GM? Isn't this all about diesels? Guys, an engine's an engine. You know, either it runs on fuel or diesel. Anyway, slice and dice it, you're always going to need a clean engine. You always benefit from a clean engine. You know, for some times, I was the advocate that said, hey, do your oil changes and forget the rest. You know, once you put hundreds of thousands of miles on these engines, you'll notice that just doesn't always do the trick. You know, you might have missed the temperature, you might have missed the interval, just a little bit of caking of oil here and there. Your metal's a little brown, then it goes a little dark brown. I mean, your rockers. When you open your filler cap, I think that's what you see in the comments. Rockers. And here's another example. I had a 5.3 Vortec. A lot of people complain about oil usage. I never burnt oil because that oil was spotless inside. That owner took good mechanical care of it. And then now I have, one of you guys referred to Big Blue. I have a 2500 Yukon with an 8.1. That engine was never spotless inside. The old man, it was a one owner, took good care of it, but he's just one of those, got to put a number on it, 5,000 to 6,000 mile interval oil change, guys. You know, that oil, or that engine isn't shot, but it's on the dirtier side. So, slowly comes along. Here comes Paul, slowly cleaning it out, and it's doing better and better. Yes, 8.1s are known to burn oil, but like you keep it cleaner, well, guess what? Paul's burning a lot less oil nowadays compared to the first time. So, some engines are too far gone to do anything with additives, but for the most part, you just take care. Oh, that's my caddy. You guys saw that? The black caddy. That's my wifey on her way to pick up the kiddos from school. Just slow and steady, you know. It does the trick, you know. I don't necessarily want to say nothing happens overnight. I never want to say you can't clean it instantly. But I'm more of an advocate, you know, slowly chipping away at that burnt oil, letting the oil carry it out, letting the filter it. And, you know, if you oil change down the road, you're good to go. So to wrap up this video, what would I recommend doing? If you're meticulous, if you're like myself and you run your oil half of what they're recommending, I think GM recommends 7,500 miles on that Escalade. You know, I run 4,000. Heck, last time I did an oil change at 34, so 3.5 to 4, right? Once in a while, I'll throw in a cleaner. Like the last oil change, got the Hashot Secret. Next oil change, I'm not going to bother with it. Probably 2-3 oil changes down the road, I'll throw in another one. Just stay on top of keeping your engine clean. Yeah, some of them are finicky, and like my Escalade, I'm still running the chance of grenading that engine because of the deactivation of cylinders. But end of the day, I know I did everything to keep it in top notch. Guys, on another note, please don't follow the manufacturer's recommended oil intervals. Those are best case scenarios. Unless your vehicle's doing what my Hashots are doing, you know, they get started in the morning, they get driven all day. I would not go high mileage on oil, you know. Average Joe with synthetic, let's say on an Escalade, 4,000 or 5,000 miles. My Escalade gets used primarily in town, soccer mom kind of duties, piano practice, choir, all kinds of schools, right? So I'm more on the 4,000. If this was like a straight up highway, yeah, I'd probably tell you 5-6. Like this TRX, I'd probably stick to 3,000 miles. Last oil change, I got carried away, but you know, in my heart, I'd try to go for 3,000 miles. That's my, that's where I'd like to be at, and that's what I'm following here forth going. I noticed, here's my kicker. On my pickup trucks, it's really easy for me to do oil changes because I'm stocked up for multiple oil changes. So when I get that minute, I pop that truck inside, boom, I have the products. This truck, on the other hand, there's nothing. There's no oil for it. There's no oil filter. So it's always like, oh, I'll get it this week. I'll get it this week. And then the week goes by. Oh, I'll get it next week. As if it's tough to get on Amazon or eBay, click it and let them deliver, right? Just a lousy excuse and procrastination. So just plan ahead. That's what I did this time around. I got me an oil filter. And now I got oil coming for this thing when I just did an oil change on it. I think I got like 90% or something. Yes, sir. 90% available of oil life. So with that being said, the oil situation is a slow death thing. And manufacturers, I know this video is long, but it only takes it takes certain people to listen this long, so I might as well give it to you the rest of the way. As far as the manufacturers, right? They do their math, and strategically, how long and how much can they get away with, right? So if they give you a 60,000 mile interval for engine warranty, right? They got to make sure that the engine lasts 60,000 miles and you spend the least amount of money maintaining it. And it's a win-win, right? Maintenance costs are low, operating costs are low, and hey, they fulfilled their thing, right? They fulfilled their promise to you. 60,000 miles, brother, you covered. Now, what happens after that? It kind of SOL, right? Most cases, I shouldn't say 60 as a rule of thumb. I feel like most manufacturers shoot for the 100 to 120 to be safe. But yeah, they're not for the long run. Don't do your oil changes. Like I was saying, don't prolong your oil change unless you're just a straight up highway driver. At that point, put in a good filter, good oil, and then you could easily run. If you're new to the channel, I run my 4th gens, 20,000 mile intervals, oil intervals. I never had engine issues. I blew an engine at right about 700,000 because one of the injectors stuck open, put a hole in the cylinder, and that was that. I have a customer that neglected his fuel system. I think he was on 40 or 50,000 miles on his filters, and a dead smack of winter. He froze his filter, ruptured this or that, and took out an injector. Same thing, cracked the piston. So with that being said, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough to say. Anytime we took apart those engines, they were healthy. The hone was there and everything was there. I personally drive a 500,000 mile truck myself. It's kind of hard to believe, but I'm not adding any oil. Yeah, I'm only doing 5,000 mile intervals right now because I was doing a lot of city. Lately, I've been on the highway quite a bit more, so on this oil change, I'll do 10,000 miles. But that's that. If that truck did straight up highway, I'd be back in the 15 to 20,000 mile mark, and clearly it worked out for me. I would not dare to do that kind of mileage if my truck did at even 10% in-town driving versus what it's doing. All these hotshots, man, they pop into town, they load, they offload, and here they go. They hit the interstate. So 97, 98% of their miles are all interstate miles. So that's what helps me prolong the life of them. I'm contemplating on making a video series on those rockers and push rods on the 19s and up. Let me know in the comment section if you're interested in that. You got any interest for that? We'll get it, most likely, we'll get it done. My goal for the next month is to work closely with my shop, because my shop has opened up so many different doors and different avenues for themselves, and my head spins the kind of projects they take on sometimes, which is wonderful. It's cool and all, but I think it would be awesome if I could spend some time in there, in some areas, educate myself, see firsthand experience, and share it with you guys. Let me know also in the comment section if that's something of your interest. Anyways, guys, this is getting out of hand. It's already 20 minutes. I gotta wrap up this video. As always, may the Lord bless you. May you all have a mighty fine day. Ciao. Bye.